Hey Facebook fam, happy Mexican Monday. Back with another episode of Corey's Cocina. Tonight we're going to be doing some pork nachos or nachos de carnitas. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about, we're going to do some guac also and make some pico. Last week we talked about the molcajete here and the temolote. And I told you that there was a bunch of different sizes or a bunch of different shapes that you could use. I prefer this one because it's ergonomically correct, or it's more ergonomical for me anyway. It's easier to hold on to. That pork that I showed you guys last week that was cooking in the roaster, I've got some of it on the stove right now in a cast iron, warming up to do the nachos. I also made some homemade nacho chips off camera, and those are cooling right now on the counter behind me. We're going to use those to make the nachos. So let's get right into it. Oh, the other thing I want to talk to you about is these. You can buy these on Amazon. I know not everybody's leaving the house right now. And really you can only get these at Mexican specialty stores. In Lansing, the one that I love to go to, there's a supermercado across the street from Geyer up on the north side. Like where Cedar Street turns into North Street or Northeast Street. I can't remember. I think it's North. Whatever. Anyway, there's a supermercado right there that's kind of across the street from the Nip and Sip and like Geyer. They have these molcajetes, and then they have all the different temolotes. So like I said, I got this one here, you can see. And then this is a very traditional shape too. This one's a little bit harder to hold on to, I find anyway. If you buy one of these on Amazon, make sure that you get lava rock, because there's some knockoffs out there that are cement, and they'll work, but it's just not gonna, I don't think it's that healthy to be smashing on cement as opposed to the lava rock. The other thing that I want to talk to you about too real quick is that when you're cleaning these, don't ever put it in the dishwasher. I usually just I take my little scrubber from the sink, and I'll just scrub out the inside with some soap and water, and that's basically it. I just let it dry from there. The other thing that you want to do too, the other thing that I do is I put a piece of paper towel in here and then put the temolote in it to store it. You don't really have to, but it kind of saves wear and tear if this is getting moved around in your cabinet at all. So that's it for that. Like I said, you can get these on Amazon. Just make sure that you're getting the genuine lava rock ones, okay? So let's get into the guac. We talked about this last week, and I didn't have any avocados. I ended up going to the store to get a couple other things that we needed for groceries. So I grabbed some avocados. I grabbed some cilantro. We didn't have that last week either. So let's get into it. I'm going to take the garlic like I did last week. We're just going to put it in a bowl. I'm just going to give this a good smash. That's going to get rid of the skin for me. And just leave the, that'll just leave the garlic. And then I'm just going to get after this. I'm just going to start grinding this garlic into the bowl. And like we talked about before too, this is really going to, using this bowl just forces these flavors into each other, right? It makes them marry. Again, it's the thing that I love about the bowl the most. I'm just going to give that a good smash. Garlic in the bowl, paper in the trash. And I'm just going to grind this up and get the whole inside of this bowl coated. So now that we got that going, the next thing we're going to do for this is the peppers. You want to do your avocados last because the avocados are the messiest part of doing this process. So I'm going to use some jalapenos, and I've got some habaneros also. And this is where we're going to put the gloves on. This is going to help keep the oil from the peppers off your hands. And it just works out a lot better, I think. If you don't have gloves, I've got a lot of nurse and EMS friends. You guys probably all have gloves at home. If you don't have gloves, just use some lime juice when you get done cutting these peppers up. Rub it around on your hands, rub a cut lime on your hands, something like that before you wash them. That'll help break up the oil from the peppers. So with the peppers here, all I'm going to do is just do a fine dice. And the finer the dice we do on here, the easier it's going to be to grind these. I'm also going to throw some habaneros in here because I'm the only one eating this tonight. So I don't have to worry about the girls blowing out their palates. And, of course, my phone wants to die.
Can you make it harder?
Yes, please. Okay, so I'm back. I forgot to plug in my phone. So we'll get that taken care of. And Shiloh, it's right on the couch, sweetie. All right, so let's get into these peppers here. I'm just gonna quarter them up. And the smaller I do these, the easier they're going to be to grind up in the bowl. So we're going to do that. You can just plug it in right there behind right by the keys. I got my assistant off camera helping me here.
Daughter.
So we're just going to dice these up, get them in the bowl. And like I said before, I like to do these one at a time. It just makes it a lot easier to grind these up. The fuller your bowl gets, the harder it is to get this ground. So I'll get this jalapeno ground up. And I'm gonna leave this pretty coarse. I like my guac a little more coarse. So I don't have to smash that up a ton. I'm gonna put a habanero in here also. Again, I'm just gonna do a quarter. I'm just gonna quarter it up and dice it again. Maybe. All right, so we got the habanero in there, we got the jalapeno in there. And again, you don't have to do the habanero if you're not really, if you don't like a ton of spice, you can just do one jalapeno. We talked a little bit last week too about how sometimes the garlic and the peppers, they're kind of all over the place. These have Scoville units. And they're all measured against the jalapeno. So a jalapeno is like 1 Scoville basically. And then they kind of go up from there. So the habanero, these are between like 150 to 300,000 Scoville units. And then these are like 10,000 Scoville units. I know I said there were 1, but these are 10,000. So you can kind of keep that into perspective. This is 10,000, this is about 150,000. And then the serranos, they're like in the middle there somewhere. They're probably in the like 50 to 75, 80, 90. It all depends. Sometimes they're just all over the place. Like I was saying last week, you can have you can take the same amount of peppers that you used the week before and the same amount of garlic that you used the week before. And this time it's just screaming hot or it's just really lame. Not spicy at all. Okay, so we'll finish up here. I got the jalapeno and the habanero now ground into the bowl. Now, really all I need to do is just add the avocado. So the one trick about avocados, this one still has the stem on it, the stem end, the button. When you pop that button off in the store, if you're trying to figure out what you wanna, like if you're gonna use it tonight or you know, you wanna use it the next day or something like that, you're trying to figure out, okay, is this too ripe? Is it not ripe enough? When you pop that button off, the color under the button is the color of the avocado. So if that button is bright green, the avocado's not going to be ready for a couple of days. If it's brown, the avocado is passed. So this one is perfect. This one is a nice green color that I want to see. And I'm just going to do a half cut on my avocado. And then I'm just going to take my knife and I'm going to kind of just score it here all the way down to the skin. I'll do diagonal, I'll do horizontal and vertical cuts. I'm just basically getting this chopped up inside the avocado. Okay? So I'm gonna do that side. Grab some here. And I'm just gonna take my spoon and just scoop it right out into the molcajete. And this avocado is perfect. There's no brown in it. It's not too ripe. So again, I'm just gonna do scores in here. Be really careful doing this. And then I'm just gonna scoop it right out into the molcajete. Now, all that's left to do is to smash this up. So I'm gonna take my temolote here, and I'm just gonna start pounding this avocado in. And again, you can do it as fine or as coarse as you want. I like mine to be a little bit more rustic. I like it to be a little bit more chunky. So we're gonna get that going, and you get it to whatever consistency you want. Once I got it where I want, I'm gonna add a little bit of cilantro. And I'm just gonna give this a really good fine chop. Just so I don't have any big pieces. So that when somebody gets one bite, you know, they don't get that's just all cilantro. We want this to be a good mixture with every chip. I'll just do a fine dice there. That looks how I want it to look. And I'm gonna put that in the bowl. The last thing to do now is to add a little bit of tomato. Romas are my favorite. I like how dense they are. They hold up really good in the against the avocado. Just scrape this down here a little bit. Get all of that off of there. So now basically all I need to do now is just to cut up a tomato. And I'm not gonna put a whole Roma in here. I'm only gonna do probably half. I only did one avocado here. I used the other avocado for dinner for the family tonight. We did just a chicken salad. And so I'm just gonna get this Roma cut up here. And again, I'm just gonna quarter this up. And then just get some nice pieces. I use serrated knives on my tomatoes, so I'm not bruising them. The Romas, like I said, they have such a dense flesh that they hold up pretty well. But I find that using a serrated knife on the tomatoes works a lot better. Okay? So now all I need to do is scoop this in here. And just give it a stir. And I'm just gonna mix everything together. The last two ingredients that I'm gonna add is gonna be a splash of lime juice and then salt to taste. So I'll get a little bit of lime going in there. This is a brand new one. Forgot to pop the top off. Usually I use fresh limes, but because of kind of how things are right now, this is more shelf stable than a fresh lime is. So I just buy the juice. Get that off of there. All right, so just a little splash of lime. Again, this is just to your taste, however you like it. And get some salt going in here. Again, just to your taste. That's probably about a quarter teaspoon. Give it another good stir. And this is what I'm looking for. This to me is the perfect consistency. I like it a little bit more rustic, a little more coarse. Not a big fan of whipped anything, of whipped guac. Like you'll see that sometimes in the store. Now you can see, there you go. Fresh avocado. It took me about, I don't know, 7 minutes. Okay? If you don't have a molcajete, you can do this in like a plastic bowl. Just use a potato smasher, like a mashed potato smasher. And you can do the exact same thing. You're just gonna have to grind up your peppers a little bit more. Dice up your peppers more, because you're not gonna be able to grind those up, obviously, like we did in the molcajete. But you can do the exact same thing. Here, let's get a close up of this, because this is gorgeous. Look at that. Oh my goodness. It's gonna be so good. All right, so we got that out of the way. Now, so last week I was telling you that I always do my guac last. I scraped the inside of this bowl, but you can see there's still avocado all over in that. So if we were gonna do salsa tonight, we would have done that first, and then we do the guac. So this will go over to the sink here. Get that rinsed out. Now the other thing that we're going to do tonight that doesn't involve the molcajete at all is I'm going to show you guys a really simple pico recipe. All right, so pico de gallo, it's Spanish for beak of the rooster. I don't know. It's lost on me. I don't know why it is, but that's literally what the translation is. So I've got a glass bowl here. I've already got a Roma that I was working on for the guac. So I'm just gonna finish this Roma off here. And again, so like my pico, I like my pico very coarse. I like a really rustic chop on the tomatoes. So I'm gonna quarter them and then quarter them again. And this time the tomatoes are gonna go in first. I like to just cut the tops off like that, get rid of the stem end, and then flip them over and either quarter them up or cut it into thirds. And then I'm just gonna do about a 1/4 inch slice on these. Missed a sticker here when I was washing them. So the reason I like this serrated knife, you can see it just slides right through the tomato. I'm not smashing it and I'm not bruising it. And then that's just gonna go right into the bowl. I got one more here to do. And this is gonna be the same ingredients as our guac, except that we don't have avocado, and obviously we're going to use these chopped up Romas. So unlike the salsa that we made last week, this is going to be Romas, and it's going to be a coarser chop. All right, so I got my tomato done. So that's in the bowl. I'm gonna do another splash of lime here. A little bit of salt. And then I've got my peppers. Now I've got gloves off now. I'm gonna be a little bit reckless, I guess. And now I'm just gonna do a fine chop on these. Again, as coarse or as fine as you want. I like it more coarse. I don't mind getting a big bite of pepper when I'm doing it. So I'm just gonna get this diced up. And in the bowl, Now I've got this oil all over my hand, so I'm gonna have to keep that in mind. And I got an habanero that I'm gonna throw in there too. This is the one that you really gotta worry about. You touch your face with some jalapeno oil, it's gonna be uncomfortable. This is gonna be, it's gonna feel like your face is on fire. So I'm gonna finely dice this habanero because it's a lot hotter, and so I don't want to blow out. I don't want to blow out my palate with just one bite of habanero. Okay, so now I've got the tomato, the jalapeno, the habanero. I'm gonna put some garlic in this, and I'm just gonna give this a good smash here on the cutting board. My paper peels away just like I want it to. That's going in the trash now. And I'm just gonna give this garlic a really good dice. Because again, like the habanero, this can be overpowering. So we wanna get this into little tiny dices. Get everything off your knife because the garlic has a tendency to want to ride up your knife and you'll end up with big pieces. So just clean your knife off and start over again. Now this is going to go in the bowl. And then we need to add a little bit of cilantro. And again, because we're not using the molcajete to grind this up, I want to dice this up as fine as possible. That's good. So now the cilantro goes in the bowl. Get the cutting board cleaned up here. Get my hands cleaned up. Don't do that at home. Okay. Now, we'll grab another spoon. Actually, I got a fork right here. We're just gonna give this a good stir. And you've got pico. And this is gonna be so delicious. All right, so we got the pico done. And you can see this is so, look at that. Look how fresh that is. It looks so good. I love it. All right, so now the pico's done. Let's move on to the nachos. Let me wash my hands real quick. All right, so on the stove, if you can see, I've got my my carnitas are in this cast iron here, and I've just had them on low heat behind us. And this is that pork from last week. And basically all I wanted to do was just get it crisped up. So it's got that nice like crispy carnita flavor that we're looking for. I put a little bit of the rendered pork fat from last week in here. Got a bone in there. So this pork that I got, I ended up just buying a couple slabs of ribs from Meijer. You guys have probably noticed burger is almost impossible to find right now. So I bought a couple slabs of ribs because I knew I could do a lot of things with those. We did pulled pork sandwiches already. I'm doing Carnitas Nachos tonight. So this is all crisped up the way I want it to be. It looks really good. Now I'm going to take, this is my comal. This is cast iron. You'll see this in a lot of Mexican households. This is what we use to fry tortillas up and everything. And all it is just a cast iron pan. But you can see it's very, very thin. Okay? This is what I'm going to cook my nachos on tonight. The thing I love about cast iron is I can go from the stove to the oven. So I've got my camal here down on the cutting board. Let's see if I can get that so you guys can see better. There we go. I've got homemade chips here in the back that I did earlier. I had some corn tortillas that I needed to use up. So I cut them in eighths. And then I put a little bit of chili lime seasoning on them. Lowry's makes this awesome chili and lime seasoning now. You can get this at Meijer. It's really good. It's not hot, it's not spicy. I don't think it's spicy, but I'm not always a good judge of spice. Anyway, I don't think it's hot. I think it's very, very tame. It's just the Lowry's chili and lime seasoning. They also have a carne asada one that's okay. I don't, those flavors are not my favorite. But this chili lime is the bomb. I love it. So when I'm doing my nachos, I'm gonna put these tortilla chips that I made earlier. I'm gonna put them right on my camal. And just kind of get them all situated there so everybody's happy and on the plate. I'm gonna set my oven to 350. And then I'm gonna get the pork. Where is my... We'll just use the little spoon here. So I don't know if you can hear that. This is sizzling pretty good. I'll bring this up here too. So you can see how crispy that is. It's got a nice crispy golden edge to it. This has just been cooking up in the cast iron. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna scoop this onto these nachos. Now, you don't have to make fresh tortilla chips if you don't want to. Get your favorite tortilla chips from the store and do the exact same thing that I'm doing. You don't have to use a camal either. When I do these for the family, I use a big cookie dish, like a big aluminum pan, because there's 6 of us and this ain't gonna feed 6 people. So I'm just gonna scoop the carnitas right onto the nacho chips, to the tortilla chips. Oh, the smells so good. Okay, so I'm gonna just kind of get that in a pile there, and then I'm gonna spread it out. Okay, so now I'm just gonna give this a little bit of a spread here. Make sure that I got good even coverage. Every chip is happy. Nobody feels left out. And get everybody covered, okay? So that's all done now. Now, we're gonna do some cheese. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do first? I'm gonna scoop some of this pico on here right now so that it cooks. Let me see if I can get rid of this. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna get rid of this, what was I saying? Oh, I'm gonna scoop some of the pico on right now, because this is gonna be really good warm. So I'm gonna do a layer of pico here. The other thing I could do would be black beans and corn, but I wanna stay with like a more traditional carnita flavor, so I'm gonna leave that off. But this pico is gonna go awesome on here, and you can see like how colorful that is. It's so beautiful. This is gonna be so good. All right, so I got that on there. Now I'm just gonna shred up some cheese. And I've got this queso fresco that's really good. I found this at Meijer, of all places. It's actually got jalapeno in it. And it's just called queso dip with jalapenos. Okay, so queso fresco. This is a really soft cheese from Mexico. It's like a mozzarella. It's like that consistency. Okay, So I've got that, and actually I'm just gonna do some slices on here. I'm not even gonna worry about grating this. I'm just gonna do some thin slices. I'm gonna lay it across the top here. And this cheese is so creamy. It's got like a mozzarella consistency to it. So it's a very soft cheese. So I'm just gonna make a couple of slices here. A couple of thin slices, and just spread it around this comal of nachos. And again, like I said, this is an easy meal for your whole family. You don't need to do fresh chips. You don't need to do homemade chips, anything like that. Take a bag of like Santitas, or Meyer has these new chips now called donkey chips, which are the bomb. They've got a funny name, but they're the bomb. I love them. They're very, very close to like homemade, authentic tortilla chips. You might be able to find them. I don't know if you'll be able to find them right now, but well, the nice thing for me is that the things that I normally shop for our family are not things that people are running on right now. So I'm gonna get some of this queso on here, finish that up, and then I'm gonna do a little bit of cheddar as well. And these are gonna be some really good nachos. I'll do some cheddar slices here, kind of go the opposite way of my queso. Just kind of get this crisscrossed down here. One more, just for good measure. All right, so there's that. That's it. Now I'm just gonna pop it in the oven. And actually, we're just gonna put it under the broiler since everything is already hot. The pork was hot, and basically all I need to do is melt the cheese. I'm just gonna put this under the broiler and get that cheese melted. And I bet you we only need about 3 minutes, truthfully. So while that's going, let's talk about what we did tonight. We did the guac, which I said, again, you don't need a molcajete to do that. You can do that in a bowl with a potato masher. That's really easy to do. The pico, let's run down, we'll run down the ingredients for the guac real quick. So the guac's got avocado, pepper of your choice. I like jalapeno, serrano, and habanero. I didn't do any serrano tonight because I don't have any. So I just did jalapeno and habanero. That's gonna have a good kick to it. The habanero is gonna make it next level. We've got lime juice, garlic, and salt. We started with the molcajete with the garlic so that we've got that completely covering the bowl. And that's what we did for that. For the pico, I like to use Roma tomatoes. I like the texture of those tomatoes, and I like the flavor of those tomatoes. So we started by dicing up some tomatoes. And again, it's as coarse or as fine as you want it. If you wanted a coarse, like a more rustic cut, that's cool. Do it that way. That's got cilantro. We also had cilantro in the guac also. So we've got tomatoes, peppers, garlic, salt, lime juice, cilantro. That's it for that. Okay? That basically covers that. While we're waiting on these nachos, I'm gonna slice up some radishes real quick, just as a garnish on the top. This will give it a nice little zing, and it's really a good, it'll give it a nice fresh flavor as well. Just wash up a couple of these. And we'll do just a couple of fine dices on these. Take a peek at these. Oh yeah. It's gonna be some melty gooey goodness here in a couple minutes. So for the radishes, you guys know how to cut radishes, but I always just cut the two ends off. And then I'm just gonna do thin slices that I'm gonna put on top. I just realized there's been no music going this whole time. That bums me out. I always cook with music. So do the both ends of the radish. And then I'm just going to do thin slices here. Finish cutting this up and we'll take a look at those nachos. See how those are doing. Oh yeah. That looks really good. Let me grab another. All right, so there you go. The cheese is melted. Oh my gosh, I wish you guys could smell this. This smells so good. Then I'm just gonna garnish it off with some radishes here. These will add a nice little crunch to it. So get those on there. Give a little scoop of the guac that we made. Just to dollop on the top. That's it, dinner's done. So, again, the whole reason I wanted to do some of these videos is because I know people are running out of things to cook. And I know that people love Mexican food. And it's hard to find any Mexican places that are around that are open. So I'm going to teach you guys how to cook authentic Mexican at home. I think that's it for tonight. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. I'll see you in the next couple of days. We'll figure out something else to cook. If you want something specifically, if there's something specific you want me to cook, where's my camera? There it is. If there's something specific you want me to cook, leave it in the comments. Thanks a lot. Love you guys. Take care. Be safe.